Hello everybody. Just want to say I'm really impressed with how studious you have all been during class time and getting everything done, and I've been trying to grade it right away. I hope you can see my responses. So every time you guys do an assignment, I grade it and I send you back a response, but I don't really know how that looks from your end. I wanted to make a quick screencast to talk about the EVAP system and how the PCM tests itself. So, let's see. So here is a kind of a animation of an EVAP system, or a illustration. So on the bottom here you see the fuel tank, and there is a vapor line that goes up here to the vapor canister or the charcoal canister. So as the gas tries to evaporate, it goes into the charcoal canister. The charcoal has a very large surface area and it grabs on to the vapors. The vent solenoid is over here. Most of you got all these questions right. The biggest problems I saw were with the testing, but I'm just going to kind of go over all this first. Vent solenoid is normally open, so air can just get sucked in, and the air will wash off. It'll basically wash off the vapors from the charcoal and allow them to go in through the purge solenoid when the purge solenoid's open. And then from here it goes to the engine and goes into the intake manifold and is reburned or burned in the combustion chamber. So the purge solenoid is normally closed. The PCM has to open it in order for vapors to be burned in the intake manifold, whereas the vent solenoid is normally open, and the only time the PCM closes it is for testing, which is what I want to talk about now. So for testing purposes, what we want to test, or what the PCM wants to test, is are there any leaks in the system? We need the system to be sealed. So in order to do that, the PCM closes the vent solenoid. So with the vent solenoid closed, the PCM then opens the purge solenoid. When the purge solenoid opens, the vacuum from the intake manifold draws this whole system into a vacuum. So in the tank, these lines, charcoal canister, the lines to the vent solenoid, and the lines all the way to the intake manifold will then be in a vacuum. Once a vacuum has been created, the purge solenoid closes. So then the vacuum is trapped in this system. And then the way the PCM knows the pressure or the vacuum of the system is through this tank pressure sensor. We have a misspelling here. So the fuel tank pressure sensor is how the PCM knows the pressure in the fuel tank. And when it's all in a vacuum, the PCM knows that. So if the vacuum decays, so that's what it's called, vacuum decay, if the vacuum goes away rather quickly, then the PCM knows that there's a large leak. If the vacuum goes away slowly, the PCM knows it's a small leak. If the vacuum does not go away, then it knows there are no leaks. If it can't even build up a vacuum, then it knows there's a very large leak. But that's how the system is tested. I'll go over it real quickly one more time. Vent solenoid is closed. Purge solenoid opens to draw a vacuum into this system, and then the purge solenoid closes. Then the fuel tank pressure sensor watches to see how long the system will hold a vacuum. If it'll hold a vacuum for a long time, there's no leaks. If it holds a vacuum for a short time, then there is a leak. The most common place for there to be a leak is in the fuel cap. Next most common is the lines where they connect everywhere. They do have fuel going through them, which is pretty corrosive. So check the lines where they connect to different things. You'll see little splits that will cause vacuum leaks. Another common problem is a charcoal canister that's been hit by a rock. And so a cracked charcoal canister. And when you're trying to figure out where a leak is, a lot of times you'll use a smoke machine. So you fill this whole system with smoke, close the vent solenoid, and then look to see where the smoke is leaking out. Alright, so I just wanted to kind of explain that again so you all kind of make sure you all understand that. But otherwise, I think you guys are all doing great. I haven't seen any problems yet. You've all been on task getting this stuff done, so I appreciate that. And I will talk to you later.